Task Manager is a Windows utility that will show you information about processes running on the system. So the first question is how to start this, and to show this I'm going to use the on-screen keyboard only so you can see what keys I'm pressing. So the traditional way of starting Task Manager is Control-Alt-Delete. So you hold down the Control key, the Alt key, and press Delete at the same time. Now you actually get a menu of choices, and we can select Task Manager from there, and that starts it just fine, and that's probably the way a lot of people do it. There's also another key combination that'll get you there a little bit quicker. If you hold down Control Shift and press Escape, use that key combination, and that also starts Task Manager. So I'm going to widen this out a little bit so we can see everything. So the first tab in Task Manager is called Processes, and that's the place where we can see what's going on, what processes. I have a command prompt open here, so we can look at that a little bit later and see more detail about the processes. But you can kind of see what system resources are being used for each of the programs that's running over here. So how much CPU is it taking up, percentage-wise, memory, disk, network, and power usage. So lots of different statistics there on what's going on. We can look at the performance of our system, so we can see what the CPU utilization is, memory, disk, etc., network. So more information about what's going on in our system. We have an app history that'll show us which applications have been used most often. So we see right here Cortana has more time, and this is only since March 6th, so between now and back then it would give us those statistics, and you can also delete the history here. Startup will show you information on what programs are going to be started up automatically when Windows starts up. So there's a few listed here. There's a Users tab that will show you specific information for each user on the system and what's being used by each user. So more useful if we have more than one person logged in. I only have one user logged in right now. Details is kind of a more detailed list of the Processes tab, so you actually see each process that's running, and we see it in a little bit different format here. So we see the name of the process ID, which we can add to the Processes tab. We'll see that a little bit later. What's the status? So you can see some of the ones here are suspended; they're not running, but we can see more detail here. Username, and we get a little bit more information on this tab, so more details, hence the name. Services is all about the Windows services, those special system processes that run, and this gives you lots of information about that. Okay. Let's go back to the Processes tab, and what I want to do here is just kind of show you what it looks like, or what you might use this for to kind of troubleshoot things. And I would expect this to be a little bit lower. So right now I've got like high CPU utilization, so I want to find out what's going on here. And so I'm going to sort by CPU usage, and we find out, hey, VMware Tools is doing something right now, right? And we might also have Windows Update doing something in the background, because it is popping up a little bit of percentage there. So a couple of background processes are going on that might be affecting things that I didn't plan, but it's nice to show up. What I had intended to do is run this little batch program that just prints dots to the screen, and look at how that affects the processing here. So this is actually in the Windows command processor. If I expand this out by clicking on this chevron right here, we'll see the Windows command, and then it's spawned this process and it's running this iLoop bash file, and it's only taking up about there's some about 30%, so I was hoping that would be a little bit higher, but you can kind of see where your CPU utilization is going, right? What's happening there, and so it may be a process where you've got something running, and maybe it's a program you're running and it's locked up, but it's taking up a lot of CPU utilization. You can see the power usage over here is kind of going back and forth. And historically, this is something that you do in Task Manager. I select this task over here and say, hey, this is giving me a problem. Now, normally I would want to go back to the program itself and close it out gracefully. But if that's not possible, you select the program and you can either click End Task here to kill the process less than gracefully, or you can right click on it and also click End Task. So we're going to do that, and it immediately killed that process window, and it disappears off our CPU utilization and is not running anymore. So be careful using that, because you can certainly, if you kill the wrong process, you can do bad things on the system. But that's just a quick example of how you might use Task Manager to see things that are going wrong and end tasks that may be misbehaving. So hopefully this was helpful and you can know a little bit more about Task Manager. We'll look at more of this in the future.